Durham missed out on a place in the knockout stages of the Royal London One Day Cup after a Dane Villas 100 was the difference as the home side fell 28 runs short at the Emirates Riverside against Lancashire. Having won the toss, Durham chose to field first, but Carl Brown and Alex Davis made a steady progress in the opening overs to take their side past the 50 mark without the loss of wicket. Paul Coughlin was brought into the attack to try and change things up, and in his second over he was rewarded as Brown spliced one to George Harding in the covers to go for 26 of 25 balls in the 10th over. Davies carried on with Hasib Hamid for company, and in the 17th over he raised his bat, having got to the half-century mark. Lancashire going along nicely on 88 for 1. However, the very next ball, Paul Collingwood got one to lift a bit, and Hamid could only guide it to Keaton Jennings in the gully to go for 12. The evergreen all-rounder has been in great form all season. In his very next over, Davis followed, this time top-edging to Jennings at mid-wicket. He went for 50 of 56 balls. Collingwood into his 7th over now did for Liam Livingstone. The young England lion tried to hit the ball into the next county, mistimed it and was superbly held by Chris Rushworth. That wicket gave Durham the momentum in the game and Collingwood his 3rd wicket. Durham needed to push on and really assert their authority, but Villas and Stephen Croft dug deep and started to rebuild. Villas doing the bulk of the scoring as he brought up his 50. He followed that up with the first maximum of the game off Rushworth, before Harding had Croft bowled trying to sweep. Croft and Villas had taken the visitors to 244 for the 5th wicket and got their team into the box seat with 7 overs to go. Villas had timed his innings perfectly as the 50-over mark approached. He put his foot on the accelerator. The second 50 in his 88-ball century came off just 26 balls, and his 5th wicket stand of 118 and 16 overs with Croft proved crucial. They'd helped Lancashire to get 135 runs from the last 15 overs. The penultimate over was one to remember for James Whale. The second ball did for Ryan McLaren as he was caught at deep point by Graham Clark. Villas fell the very next ball, bowled missing a full toss. He left having struck 12 fours and 1 maximum in his 108 off 88 balls. And before the over was done, Stephen Parry had managed to get himself run out with a direct hit. Harding with the throw. 3 wickets had fallen for 2 runs in 1 over. It meant Lancashire finished on 304 off their 50 overs. The run rate required, a gettable little over 6 and over. It didn't start well though, as Jennings had his off-peg knocked out the ground trying to work Jarvis to leg in the 5th over. Jennings fell for 10 and Durham 19 for 1. That became 19 for 2 in the next over when Stephen Cook nicked one to Livingstone off Jimmy Anderson for 8. Clark and Michael Richardson went about steadying the ship. The pair got their heads down and worked the ball around, and when the ball was on offer to hit, they took advantage. Clark took a particular liking to Danny Lamb, whipping him to leg for a number of expertly timed boundaries. But in the 16th over, Clark caught one just a little bit too well and found Brown in the deep, who took a quite superb one-handed catch to dismiss the batsman for 32 off as many balls. Durham are now 76 for 3 and behind the run rate. On 35, Richardson had to send for a runner, and shortly afterwards Collingwood was slow to respond after playing the ball to short third man. He was out for 20 with the score 112 for 4 in the 25th over. Richardson decided it was time to go for broke. He clubbed Anderson over deep mid-wicket for the first maximum of the innings and followed that up with another boundary to take 16 off the Anderson over and move the home side to 133 for 4 with 22 overs remaining. Having brought up his 50 though, Richardson then played on to Parry and was out for 58 from 78 balls with 2 4s and 2 6s to his name. Durham's run rate was just below 5, but the required rate had risen to just below 8 with 19 overs to go. Steele, trying to get that run rate back in favour of the home side, took on Jarvis but towed it to Anderson at mid-on to go for 23. Durham now requiring 146 from 18 overs with 4 wickets left. Durham never gave up, and some good hitting from Pointer and Coughlin saw them take the score to 195 in the 38th over, but Coughlin took on McLaren only to find a scampering Parry, who took an excellent catch to get rid of Coughlin for 22. Durham now needed 110 of 12 overs with 3 wickets still in the hutch. Whale was next to go in the 43rd over. He was well held by Villas off the bowling of Jarvis, who finished with figures of 3 for 42 from his 10 overs. Durham were 8 down with 80 still to get. Pointer then fell for 43, and needing 72 runs from the last 6 overs, it was a case of whether Lancashire could take all 10 wickets or Durham could fight to the end and take the game to 50 overs. Well, Durham won that particular battle as Rushworth and Harding managed to keep their wickets and also pick up a few boundaries along the way. Alas, at the start of the game, Durham could have gone ahead of Nottinghamshire into 3rd place with a win, but the 1 point the Outlaws gained from the washout at Northampton ended their hopes anyway, and by the time the players shook hands at the end of the game, Lancashire were the victors by 28 runs, and Durham's Royal London One Day Cups campaign was over for the season. It's now back to the Championship before the NatWest T20 Blast kicks off in July.